Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
For those who I haven't had the opportunity to meet, my name is Wayne Smith. I'm involved with banking and consulting. And I heard one of our guests say that they were involved with a social enterprise, which in another parlance is a nonprofit. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to kind of refocus a lot of the points that Julie made in a very impactful and I thought well done presentation. So let's give her a round of applause. But I do want to start out, since Mayor Jones, and there's an expression among mayors, once a mayor, always a mayor. And he's had some international experience as a public leader going to India and trying to attract foreign investment to a city. I've had that same experience. I served in that capacity for 3 terms as a mayor, served as Mayor Jones, served on the city council. So I have a lot of public knowledge to bring to this conversation, because the government is one of the businesses you could have. And so we want to get a little bit of that perspective in this presentation. But I do want to start out with something I heard, and language is key. Words do matter. And so when I heard Mayor Jones mention UK, I didn't know he was talking about the young lady in the back. I thought he was talking to somebody who was from the United Kingdom. I really did. I said, oh, somebody at that back table was from London. But it was her name, so words do matter. Absolutely. So let me talk a little bit about, in my capacity as a banker, I get the opportunity to talk to small business owners about how they want to expand their enterprise. And also, I have a lot of experience with working with nonprofits. And in fact, currently I chair a board called the International Youth Organization, which is based in Newark. I'm an alumni of the program, and we help urban young people improve their lives and their opportunity outcomes, if you will. And I offer to this great organization, both CTIP and the school. We have a city block, and we have space there, so we look to collaborate with both organizations in the city of Newark, and look forward to continue to work with Fernando. So let's talk about what I call maybe some of the 3 distinct challenges of taking your business global. And when I joked about language and words do matter, one of the things that a person in a small business, and whatever you get, if it's a product-based business, it's a service-based business, a technology-driven business, you do have to deal with that physical distance and all the parameters of trying to operate in another country. And I love the idea of, first you have to get there psychically. You have to look at the culture, the language, the environment around it, political, regulatory, judicial, the tax consequences of what you're going to do globally. And so environmental issues, labor systems, all those things that you have to think about in covering that ground, both physically and psychically, about doing business abroad. I do like the part of Julie's presentation for a small business to also think, even before you talk about going somewhere else to do your product or service, is to think cross-culturally, right in the U.S. Because if you look at those markets, so I'll give you an example. In the African American community in the United States, there's this ethos trying to keep more dollars circulating in their neighborhoods. Some people call it buy black movement. So that works if I'm not trying to sell, if you're from India, telling you we support a black movement is not going to make you attractive to my business. You are basically concerned with what good or service you can sell me that meets my needs. But cultural marketing is one framework that you can actually get a niche if you pitch it that way. But if you're going to go global, you have to begin to look at markets a little differently. So if I want to do more business in the Latino community, I need to learn a little bit about the different markets even among the Latino community. So if I want to market to, and so it's interesting that Julie used Puerto Rico as an example about the coffee, even though that's a territory of the U.S. But that, to me, that's thinking more across culture. If I'm not from Puerto Rico. So people approach the Latino market sometimes like it's a monolithic market. It's not. And so I think somebody was talking about an Ecuadorian restaurant in the back, and how they would run a market. I think Mayor Jones was trying to help the market. So you may want to test market your global reach by looking at the cultural markets in the U.S. And some of them are very distinct neighborhoods that you can target. So in the coffee example, they used Miami as they tried to expand what they were doing after Puerto Rico. The next bigger market they went to was Miami. So they wanted to make sure they flexed their muscles in a bigger Latino market, and they'll probably pitch it to other countries. And so that's a good way to do it. If you want to crack the Indian market, if you will, you need to learn something about Indian people, the language, the customs, the tradition. My goddaughter happens to be Asian. Well, they call them Blasian. She's black and Asian.
I like that. You are fine too.
So she's married an Indian fellow, and she had to learn a lot of the traditions and culture. So we're going to a wedding, and we're going to an Indian wedding and then a more traditional American wedding. They're doing two. Yeah. So my wife already said she's not going to sit that long. So
she wears a sari.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's wearing that. Yeah. So she's been to India, and she's been to India to meet the family and all of that and so forth. So cross culturally will help you as you introduce yourself to different markets that you might not be selling to if it's going to be very similar to the country that you're trying to market your product to.
Texted me, he said after the meeting.
So distance means context. And so today the international global conversation is what is our own government doing in the international terrain. And so as business people, as you can see what happened when the Burke president walked off one of the commissions, we have to influence those policies because going global might become more difficult if we don't. But you still have to pay attention to what is going on in that country that you're trying to operate in. Not to get consumed with it, but as it impacts your business, you need to have a context of what's going on in that country politically. So if what you're selling or marketing when you're in the middle of a presidential election the current president supports, and if he doesn't win, that effort may go a different direction. You may need to be thinking about that. Regulatory environment. Again, some of that is also in the political context. How does their regulations affect your product or service when you go into that particular country? And so you have to pay attention to these things because what I tell our clients is have an international business plan. So when you came here to borrow money from me, you gave me a business plan. You know, it had your marketing plan in there, it had your financial plan in there, it gave you projections on your sales. You need to do that as you approach international markets. Have a business plan about how you're going to expand globally. Start thinking about it, and then it will assume a lot of the context that we're talking about. People don't think like they don't think about their U.S. taxes. What is the tax environment I'm going into when I go abroad? If I make money there, or when I make money there, what does that mean from a tax standpoint? How much do I have to leave there? What is the implications for my bottom line in the U.S.? These are things you have to sit down and figure out. How do I get labor to carry out the task? What are the labor costs? And every country is different in terms of how you handle your employee workload. I do want to talk just a second about social enterprise. I think one young lady has a nonprofit in the back. And one of my projects I'm working on in Nigeria specifically, a young man who is an educator in the United States has started a nonprofit to develop a university in Nigeria. And he's acquired some land. So he's going from actually building a physical plant to developing a curriculum. His focus, because he's a health professional, is health. He wants to do a whole educational program on allied health services and then ultimately create a medical school. But he's going for the allied professions first. And it's a very complicated process. And so he has a U.S. team that's gathered who are interested in these kind of projects. So when I heard the young lady say she was marketing her snail mail letters to people that would support her effort, she had to be very targeted because you need to know who invests in international social enterprise. Is it individuals? Is it foundations that are better reach for you? Where's the list out there that gives me people who have past donated to international educational efforts? And there are lists that you can buy out there that give you a better target. So social enterprises are an evolving business, and they're businesses. People operate nonprofits. Doesn't mean you can't be profitable. Yeah, you want to add to that?
I cannot shake your hand right now because I think most people, when they run a nonprofit, they treat it like a nonprofit. And until you start running your nonprofit like a business, which means you have a business plan, you have milestones, you have, strategic partners, only then will you start to be able to really make the impact.
And so, I would say this, you have a very interesting niche, because I worked in the Nigerian community a lot of my career. In fact, Deputy Mayor Hugo, who's a big supporter of our organization, is from Nigeria. So, if you identify your peers who are professional and entrepreneurial, and let them know, better yet, if you can identify people who come from the region where you want to do your work, then that might be your first catchment area that you want to focus in on getting people involved and engaged. Because creating these social enterprises take just as much effort. And instead of looking at the donors as donors who just give to charity, look at them as investors. Because if people, and Mayor Jones will tell you this, they teach you this in fundraising, whether it's political or anything else. People who give you just a little bit of money, they'll give again and again and again. It keeps them informed, keeps them engaged, and so forth. Investors are the same way.
I thought you were going a different direction.
Yeah. I gotta throw you a curveball every now and then. But the principle of giving and investing are very similar. And usually people, you ever seen a company have an investor who loses money, but the company won't survive unless he gives again? A lot of times they give again even though they've lost money. But they believe in the concept, so they'll invest again. So when you're doing a social enterprise, the first people you get, never say, oh, you just gave me $1,000. Well, if the cause is right, the issue is right, they'll give you another $1,000. So those are things that you definitely have to consider when you're developing a social enterprise. So let me talk about that. So distance, and I want to talk about skills I think you have to have to be a global entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs typically look for opportunities. You have to look at the global marketplace and see where you have opportunities. I'll give you those of you who like sports of any type, I'll give you an example because I spent some. No, I'm going to use it different. And I think Mayor Jones likes this sport too. So I'll give you a U.S.
I love golf.
Yeah, I love golf. I said he might like this. I'll give you a little controversial entrepreneur, but he took a sport in the U.S. and actually with a very charismatic personality made this particular sport go global. And he actually started to do things abroad. So Don King, controversial figure, had a very charismatic boxer named Muhammad Ali, who was a global figure and personality in his own right, one of the most popular men in the world. And he started to say, well, if I can't get enough money in the U.S., I can take these fights abroad. So how many of you remember the Thriller in Manila? He approached African countries about staging fights. And the TV rights ratcheted up at that time. They put more money on it because you had more eyes watching, because you had a global figure. Boxing wasn't big all over the world. It's an Olympic sport, but it wasn't viewed at that time as a global sport. So Don King ratcheted it up in a way for a global. You know, instead of just filling up Madison Square Garden, you could fill up international arenas. You know, do that. So that's how in the paradigm you have to seize opportunities, look at the world in a way that it gives you opportunities. I use that as an example. You have to gather resources. You know, and if you're going to do any enterprise, it requires you to be very resourceful. And sometimes the resources are people. So we looked at, so she did a great example about your network. Look at, if you're going into a different country in a market, look, find out all your friends who are from there. Talk to them. Gather data, as she suggested. What town are they from? What is the product they like? Now, when I went to China while I was married, and Fernando, I won't be able to go on the trip because my family has some issues, but when I went to China, I went to 13 cities, and each of them had their very distinct personalities. But the interesting thing that I learned on the trip from 13 cities, and I went twice, to China was the young people had an overwhelming interest in America and their culture, and they knew our personality. I was just shocked. You know, I go on college, knew our personality, asked about various singers, this and that. Of course, I was the mayor of the city. I said, oh, I'm not the mayor of New York or Los Angeles. I don't know every celebrity. But they asked that question. And it's interesting, one of the cross-cultural lessons that I had to absorb in that process was, so I met every mayor of those cities. And so they had receiving lines of people from the different cities that I went to. And so I would go, as an American politician, we shake hands. And so I'm shaking hands. So the mayors from the cities, they didn't do that. So one day at lunch, one of the mayors was having lunch. And of course, when you're on a diplomatic mission, they speak their language. So whether it was Cantonese or Mandarin, they would speak the appropriate language for their region. And then we'd have interpreters at the table, even at lunch. So, of course, I had some people from the U.S. with me, and he was telling some jokes at lunch. And so he was sitting next to me, so he started laughing. So he said, I went to Columbia. So he started talking. He said, I went to Columbia University. He said, so I said, well, let me ask you something now since we broke the ice. I said, why? You know, when we came in and we had this receiving line, I was like, man, why? Because I kept calling. I would call all of them. And this was about maybe the third city I was in. He said, you know, I said, how did you become mayor? He said, well, I was appointed by the Communist Party. I had to run for office. So, and I knew that because I know at least enough about the government to know that it's a different system of government. So they don't have to, they're like an administrator. They don't have, so mayors or other mayors around the world who are democratically elected are people person, more people, he's more of an administrative type. So I kept wondering why the mayors weren't, you know, they're glad to see their people and so forth and so on. So you know, that kind of reminded me I can't look at the world from my own frameworks all the time. I gotta remember where I am and so forth and so on. So you also have to know, in terms of being resourceful, how to strike deals. So it's interesting, I used the Don King example because I was involved in boxing and club promotions and concert promotions and that as a young man. So when he went to these countries, he didn't sell a boxing match. Some of them could care less. He sold tourism. Muhammad Ali, this global figure, he's going to bring people who would never come to your country before, spending money. And so a lot of times he got a meeting with the president because he was promoting Muhammad Ali or the prime minister or whatever. And they would take the meeting when they told him tourism. He didn't sell boxing, he told tourism. And they would open up the state's purse strings to help bring that, because it gave them an internet. Everybody in the world was going to be watching that fight. It gave them a stage that they had never seen before, and they could market their city. So of course they could fix up and very much like an Olympic production. People vie for the Olympics because they want to showcase their cities in ingenuity, innovation, with their tourism and so forth. So have an international business plan. So let me just share with you a couple other things, and then if there's any questions, we can go on and then we can have lunch, because I am between you and lunch, right? So,
No, that's me.
Huh?
I'm between lunch.
You between lunch?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll let you beat up on Jeff to hurry up. So some of the tools that you can use as a banker, of course, I'm going to reference you to a bank, not my own, because we're too small to do the international trade deals. But I do have associates who are in the global finance area. So if you're looking for global finance, we can potentially help you with that. But a lot of people think that the Import-Export Bank is just for large corporations. It's not. It's not. So you should look at that as a potential financial arm. And there's another agency called TradeNet that matches what you want to trade in, whether you're buying or selling. TradeNet is another agency that will help you match with particular people. Now, you can also use your diplomatic offices to vet companies. A lot of people look for distributors that are viable, because don't go with a distributor just because you got an email from them. It could be a scam or fraud. You got to vet the people you're going to do business with. And since you pay for the U.S. government, you should actually use it. And they actually know the legitimate people on the ground in those various countries, and so you should access it. So, don't you pay for it. Remember, it's your investment. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I just would like to add that most people don't know a consulate. And I always ask, do you have a contact at one of these consulates? It's not hard. Just pick up the phone of the country you're interested in going and call the consulate. They have them in New Jersey, they have them in New York City. And if it's business, they're more than willing to help you, because their mission is not just doing immigration, it's to help their business, the economy to grow. So if they can help you to match up with a company there or bring a company here, either way, take advantage of that resource.
So I'll close with that point. A lot of times as a small business owner, you're taught to go talk to your local government to see what lending programs they have, what procurement programs they have, and so forth. You should do the same on a global scale, because you have a U.S. government that you pay for that's primed to help you, but a lot of times we try to go global and don't take advantage of those resources. Thank you very much, and I'll let you beat up on Mayor Jones.